And we're back. So, there, you guys put the anchors next to these guys. So we have 6 guys staying, 13 going in those 2 jolly boats. 13 going in the 2 jolly boats. All right? Question or comment?
Am I a good guy or a bad guy?
Are you crewman number 1?
Yes.
Bad guy.
Yeah.
All right.
Page 95.
Right, the last whoever, including Silver, began to embark. Then it was that there came into my head the first of the mad notions that contribute so much to save our lives. I'm going to read that again. Then it was that there came into my head the first of the mad notions that contributed so much to save our lives. What does mad mean? Crazy. What does a notion mean?
Thought.
A thought or an idea. And then, wait a minute, he says saves our lives. How do we know it? Jim's going to live? How do we know that?
He's
He's writing the story. Who else makes it?
Dr. Livesey.
Dr. Livesey and Squire Trelawney are mentioned. Then it says, and the other men. We don't know who else that is. But we know at least 3 of these guys make it back home.
Yay.
All right? So, here is what this weird statement is. This is foreshadowing within the flashback. This whole thing is a flashback, and there's some foreshadowing that tells us he's about to do something crazy that actually helps them survive. He's actually going to do something crazy that helps them survive. Bottom of page 95, he says, if 6 men were left by Silver, it was plain our party could not take and fight the ship. With 6 on 6, that's bad. Well, some of us are going to get hurt or killed if we try and fight him. And since only 6 were left, it was equally plain that the cabin party had no need of my assistance. Because it is 6 on 6, they don't need me. They can also defend themselves if something happens. It occurred to me at once to go ashore. In a jiffy, I had slipped over the side, curled up in the foresheets of the nearest boat, and almost at the same moment, she shoved off. No one took notice of me, only the bow oar saying, "Is that you, Jim? Keep your head down." But Silver, from the other boat, looked sharply over and called out, "That ain't you, Jim!" And from that moment, I began to regret what I had done. Where's Jim?
In a rowboat.
In one of the rowboats.
Why?
The crew, he's like, I'm just going to go.
By himself?
He's in the front. He's like, I'm going to go see if I can help figure something out. Because those guys are still there. So he jumped in the boat, and now he's like, oh, Long John knows I'm here. I'm dead. The crews raced for the beach. But the boat I was in, having some start and being at once the lighter and the better manned, shot far ahead of her consort. And the bow had struck among the shoreside trees, and I had caught a branch and swung myself out and plunged into the nearest thicket, while Silver and the rest were still 100 yards behind. "Jim! Jim!" I heard him shouting. But you may suppose I paid no heed. Jumping, ducking, and breaking through, I ran straight before my nose till I could run no longer. Jim is now our little rabbit trail running. He's running. Have him run up into the center. He doesn't find the stockade. He just keeps running up this direction. Okay? Now this next chapter, it starts off with him really excited about it. He gave Long John Silver the slip. He walks around, and at the end of this second paragraph, he says that he kept going until on the far side he found an opening of land. He's no longer in this thicket, and he sees a hill with 2 quaint craggy peaks shining vividly in the sun. And I call this rabbit-eared peaks. Rabbit ears, kind of like rabbit ears past near Steamboat Springs. Please, somewhere on the northeast corner, somewhere up here, I need you to put a hill with 2 basically ears at the top. 2 craggy or jutty, rocky peaks. And he saw that, and then he starts looking around. He sees a rattlesnake. He sees lots of cool plants. Then he comes to a thicket where everything's all intertwined and all these branches are hard to even get through. You can't even see through it. It's so thick, all the branches are. And it's so hot that have you ever looked in the distance on a road and you see like it's boiling? Well, it's so hot, when he looks up the distance, he can see spyglass, and it looks like spyglass is boiling. The sun is baking the island. But at the, I believe if you turn to the next page, and it says all at once, on the second, on page 98, the paragraph where it says all at once, on page 98, it says, all at once there began to go a sort of bustle among the bulrushes. A wild duck flew up, quack, 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 quack. Another followed, and soon over the whole surface, we're on the bottom of 59 for you. And soon over the whole surface of the marsh, a great cloud of birds screamed, "Wah, wah, wah," circling the air. What happened? If all the birds are, they got scared by, there's somebody over there, all right? I judged at once that some of my shipmates must be drawing near along the borders of the fen. Nor was I deceived, for soon I heard the very distant and low tones of a human voice, which as I continued to give ear grew steadily louder and nearer. This put me in great fear, and I crawled under the cover of the nearest live oak and squatted there, hearkening, as silent as a mouse. Hearkening, he and his mom did that on the way from the Admiral Benbow, right? They stopped to hearken, and just be scared and shiver. Another voice answered, and then the first voice, which I now recognized to be Silver's, once more took up some story and ran on for a long while in a stream, only now and again interrupted by the other. By the sound they must have been talking earnestly, almost fiercely, but no distinct word came to my hearing. At last the speaker seemed to have paused and perhaps to have sat down, for not only did they cease to draw any nearer, but the birds themselves began to grow more quiet and to settle again into their places in the swamp. Now I began to feel that I was neglecting my business, that since I had been so foolhardy as to come ashore with these desperadoes, the least I could do was overhear them at their councils, and that my plain and obvious duty was to draw close as I could manage, under the favorable ambush of the crouching trees. I need to go. I'm here. I may as well go listen to what they're talking about. I could tell the direction of the speakers pretty exactly, not only by the sound of their voices, but by the behavior of the few birds that still hung about an alarm above the heads of the intruders. Crawling on all fours, I made steadily but slowly towards them, till at last, raising my head to an aperture among the leaves, I could actually see clear down into the green dell beside the marsh, and closely set about with trees, where Long John Silver and another of the crew stood face to face in conversation. The sun beat full upon them. Silver had thrown his hat beside him on the ground, and his great, smooth, blond face, all shining with heat, was lifted to the other man's in a kind of appeal, like, mate, it's because I think gold dust of you. Gold dusting you, mate, ain't it that? If I hadn't took to you like pitch, you'd think I'd have been here warning you. All's up. You can't make no mend. It's to save your neck that I'm a-speaking. And if one of the wild ones knew it, where'd I be, Tom? Now tell me, where'd I be? He's saying, hey man, if the other guys knew I was even talking to you, they'd kill you. I'm your last chance. What would they do if they knew I was trying to talk you out of not joining us? Silver, said the other man, and I observed he was not only red in the face, but spoke as hoarse as a crow, and his voice shook too, like a taut rope. Silver, you're old and you're honest, or has the name for it. And you've money too, which lots of poor sailors hasn't. And you're brave, or I'm mistook. And I'll tell you, will you tell me you'll let yourself be led away with that kind of mess of swabs? Not you. As sure as God sees me, I'd sooner lose my hand if I turn against my duty. What's he saying? I can't believe it. You're gonna let these guys sway you? I didn't realize you were with them. I'd rather lose my hands. Have my hands cut off than join it. I'm gonna do my job. What are you talking about? Then all of a sudden, he was interrupted by a noise. I had found one of the honest hands. We got a good guy here, right? What's his name?
Tom.
Tom. Heck, let's be nice. Let's cross off. Pirate number 19, we've got Tom, who's a good guy, right? Tom is a good guy.
Why is it like...
What? You cross off number 19, and now we move him over here, right? Good. Oops. Well, here at the same moment came news of another. Hey, there's another good guy. I can hear him. Far away, out in the marsh, there arose all of a sudden a sound like the cry of anger. Ah! Then another on the back of it. And then one horrid, long, drawn scream. The rocks of the spyglass re-echoed it a score of times. The whole troop of marsh birds rose again, darkening heaven with a simultaneous whir. And long after that death yell was still ringing in my brain, silence had reestablished its empire, and only the rustle of the redescending birds and the boom of the distant surges disturbed the languor of the afternoon. There was another good guy, but he's gone. Pirate number 18 was a good guy. That was a death yell.
Wait, so why didn't you kill Tom?
Tom's not dead.
So who was talking that said that they'd rather get against?
Tom.
Well, why did they? Well, then why didn't you kill Tom?
Tom is talking to Long John Silver, right?
Yeah, but-
And then right then, while those guys are looking at each other, they hear somebody way over there scream.
I thought you meant like Long John Silver killed.
Nah, we hear somebody scream in the distance.
Why would they kill him?
Why do you think they would kill a guy who we knew, he tells us was a good guy? Why would they kill him? Yeah?
Because he's a traitor. I don't know.
Not quite. Traitor.
Because he won't join me.
Good. Well, bad, but yes. He won't join him, Sierra. He won't join him. That guy. So what did they do to number 18?
Kill and join.
Tom had leaped at the sound, like a horse at the spur. But Silver had not winked an eye. He stood there, where he was, resting lightly on his crutch, watching his companion like a snake about to spring. "John," said the sailor, stretching out his hand. "Hands off!" cried Silver, leaping back a yard, as it seemed to me, with the speed and security of a trained gymnast. "Hands off if you like, John Silver," said the other. "It's a black conscience that make you fear to me. But in heaven's name, tell me, what was that?" "That," returned Silver, smiling, but warier than ever. His eye, a mere pinpoint in his big face, but gleaming like a crumb of glass. "That? I reckon that'll be Alan." And at this, poor Tom flashed out like a hero. "Alan!" he cried. Then rest his soul for a true seaman. And as for you, John Silver, long you've been a mate of mine, but you're a mate of mine no more. If I die like a dog, I'll die in my duty. You've killed Alan, have you? Kill me too if you can, but I defies you. What was that guy's name?
Alan.
Alan.
Card number 7.
Cross him off. No. 18 was Alan. I just wanted to let you know he had a name, but he's gone. Number 18 was Alan. And with that, this brave fellow turned his back directly on the cook and set off walking for the beach. But he wasn't destined to go far. With a cry, "Rah!" John seized the branch of a tree. Sierra, it's okay. Whipped the crutch of his armpit out of his armpit and sent that uncouth missile poof, hurtling through the air. It struck poor Tom, point foremost, with stunning violence, right between the shoulders and the middle of his back. He flew up his hands and gave a sort of yell or gasp and fell. "Ah!" Whether he were injured, much or little, none could ever tell. Like enough to judge from the sound, his back was broken on the spot. But he had no time given him to recover. Silver, agile as a monkey even without leg or crutch, was on top of the man in the moment, on top of him in the next moment, and had twice buried his knife into the hilt, into that defenseless body. From my place of ambush, I could hear him pant aloud as he struck the blows. I do not know what it is rightly to faint, but I do know that for the next little while, the whole world swam away from before me in a whirling mist. silver and the birds and the tall spyglass hilltop going round and round and topsy-turvy before my eyes, and all manner of bells ringing and distant voices shouting in my ear. When I came again to myself, the monster had pulled himself together, his crutch under his arm, his hat upon his head. Just before him, Tom lay motionless upon the sward. But the murderer minded him not a whit, cleansing his blood-stained knife, the while upon a wisp of grass. Everything else was unchanged, the sun still shining mercilessly on steaming marsh and the tall pinnacle of the mountain. And I could scarce persuade myself that murder had been actually done, and a human life cruelly cut short a moment since before my eyes.
Tom is dead.
Tom is dead.
I've never eaten Long John Silver.
Different view of Long John Silver now, huh?
I'm confused. Is he Silver too?
He is Long John Silver, that's his name.
But he has so many names.
His other name is Barbecue. The guys call him Barbecue, his name's Long John Silver.
So which one did Silver or John Silver?
But now, John put his hand in his pocket, brought out a whistle, and blew upon it several modulated blasts that rang far across the heated air. I could not tell, of course, the meaning of the signal, but it instantly awoke my fears. More men would be coming. I might be discovered. They had already slain 2 of the honest people. After Tom and Alan, might not I come next? Instantly, I began to extricate myself and crawl back again with what speed and silence I could manage to the more open portion of the wood. As I did so, I could hear hails, "Hey!" and going between the old buccaneer and his comrades. And this sound of danger, it lent me wings. He had a Red Bull. As soon as I was clear of the thicket, I ran as I never ran before, scarce minding the direction of my flight, so long as it led me from the murderers. And as I ran, fear grew and grew upon me, until it returned into a kind of frenzy. Indeed, could anyone be more entirely lost than I? When the gun fired, how should I dare to go down to the boats among those fiends, still smoking from their crime? What gun is he talking about?
The gun that it's 30 minutes till.
That's right, 30 minutes, about 5:30, captain's gonna go and say, "Hey, it's time to come back." Am I gonna go get on a boat with those guys? Would not the first of them who saw me wring my neck like a snipe's? Would not my absence itself be an evidence to them of my alarm, and therefore of my fatal knowledge? It was all over, I thought. Goodbye to the Hispaniola. Goodbye to the squire, the doctor, and the captain. There was nothing left for me but death by starvation, or death by the hands of mutineers. All this while, as I say, I was still running, and without taking any notice, I had drawn near to the foot of the little hill with the 2 peaks. Tap, 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 up to there.
Darn.
And had got into a part of the island where the live oaks grew more widely apart and seemed more like forest trees in the bearing and dimensions. Mingled with these were a few scattered pines, some 50, some nearer 70 feet high. The air, too, smelt more freshly than down beside the marsh. It's like it's a nicer part of the island up here. And here a fresh alarm brought me to a standstill with a thumping heart. The end. Chapter 14. So, what are you going to tweet tonight?
Bella had this.
Ah, you killed somebody. He deserved it. What else?